Okay, welcome to CIS2250. This is the first video. Some people have requested a couple of these just to sort of see what we're up to in class and be able to follow along with some of the projects that we create in the Bitbucket repository. So the first one is going to be just a video creating an initial project in Android Studio. All right, so I'm assuming that you're able to get Android Studio installed and up and running. All right, so this video is going to create a sort of a Hello World project and get it running on an emulator. Okay, so you'll see in the course, a lot of times I'll be referencing or using developer.android.com as the main source of content for the course. So there's tons of information in here about Android related development. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is start a new project. World. All right, I'll consistently use the company domain of CIS2250HelloWorldAndroidApp. All right, and I'll be putting this. I'll just put it somewhere else. Just put it in. See. Test. Hello World and plain BJ package. All right, I don't need C++ support. I don't need Kotlin support. All right, so I'm going to be building it for phone and tablet, pretty much all of our projects, unless you're off doing some research about building Android Wear, TV, Auto, or Android things. We'll mainly be working with phone and tablet apps. All right, you can choose Android Instant App support if you want. It works fine without it, so I'm just going to leave not use Android Instant App support for this demo anyway. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is just create a blank activity. There are several activities here. Mainly the project, I'll be recommending the navigation drawer activity, which will just have a little navigation drawer pop out from the left and also a more menu up in the top right. And these are very good templates to use for the projects. They get you set up fairly well with some sample code and basically a fully functioning app that doesn't have much on it, but is all set up to be added to. All right, so I'm just going to create a basic activity. All right, normally we'll leave this main activity. In general, the main activity is what's going to take over once our project starts. Very similar to our main method in our Java projects. Okay, so whenever you create an activity is the basic component of our Android app, and it would include a Java class and it'll be called main activity, and also a corresponding layout. All right, so activity main layout is what's going to be created in this case here. So it's going to create an activity main.xml file and main activity.java class. All right, I'm not going to use fragments for this Hello World activity. All right, once I finish, off it goes and builds me a Android app, basically a Hello World app. All right, it might take a little bit of time. I'll give it a second. If it doesn't take too long, I will pause the video, but basically this is going to build me an app. Okay, so it's back. It did take a couple minutes for this to fully build, but it built me up an Android app project. Right, when it first opens up, you get this tip of the day. I like to give those a read each time, just pick up little tips on how to do things in Android Studio. You notice the look and feel of Android Studio is quite a bit different than NetBeans. NetBeans is based on as an Eclipse kind of look, and Android Studio is built on JetBrains, so it looks a little bit different. All right, it's still building. It's getting there slowly, but I should be able to look around at the app here in the meantime. All right, so like I said, the Android app is built. There's a couple of key pieces you'll want to get used to looking at. All right, there's a Java folder, and inside here is your main activity. All right, the other part that gets built is your layout, which is down in the resources layout folder. It's always a little bit slower while it's building. Okay. Yes. Okay, so I'm back again. I paused it for another 20 seconds there. But basically what we built was our main activity, which is a Java class. All right, so you can see there's quite a bit of Java code in here, which is set up to start the app. You'll get used to some of this stuff, like the onCreate runs while the app is building. You see it calls the parents class. My main basic activity that I built is based on app combat activity. So all this stuff is set up to allow us to quickly build these template applications so they extend existing classes. All right, so basically what I want to do, I don't want to change anything right yet. Just take a quick look at it. All right. See some of the pieces that are built on there. A floating action bar, that's going to be a little button on the bottom right. It's got a options menu, which has a settings option. Right. It doesn't really do anything yet, but it's all set up just as a template application. Okay, so that's the main activity. You don't need to change anything. It'll run like a Hello World without changing anything. All right, I'll take a quick look at the content main. All right, you see where that's located down in the layout. It built an activity main. All right, and inside that, if I look at the text of it, all right, so you see that there's some high-level structure in the activity main, but there's also a content main included. So the content main is just the content piece, which sits inside the activity main, which also has things like the floating action bar and the toolbar widget and that kind of stuff. So this is sort of the parent, but the content that we're going to put on that activity is contained in the content main.xml file. Okay, so I'm going to give this a run. It did take a couple minutes for it to be fully set up, so you can expect to have to wait a little bit while you're creating one of these activities. All right, so before looking at anything else, let's just try to run it. All right, so I'm just going to click on the run arrow up here. And you'll see it looks at where do you want to run this. So you could have a USB connected Android device, or you could have virtual devices. So these are 4 emulators which I've created in the past. All right, so I'll just go through the process of building another one of these. Okay, so I'm going to go pick a tablet, Nexus 10. All right, I'm going to pick 23. You'll notice that 23 I already have downloaded on this computer. So I'll just pick it. If not, initially you might not have any of the system images downloaded, so you would have to go through the process of downloading them. All right, so I'm just going to pick Marshmallow, which I already have downloaded. Otherwise, you would just pick download, and it would go through the process of going and getting the system image and installing it on your SDK. All right, so I'm just going to leave everything as the default. So you see it's a Nexus 10 API 23. Leave everything just by the way they're set up in the defaults. Okay, I'm going to pause this because it's probably going to take a minute and to get the virtual device or the emulator up and running. Okay, so my emulator was created. My Nexus 10 API 23 was created. So I'm just going to say OK to say that that's what I want to run this Hello World app on. Okay, I'll let that run for a while and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so that took several minutes. It's super slow. I've got the, while I have the Skype recording going, it's slowing things down too, I believe. But it does take minutes sometimes to get these emulators up and running. It's sort of, this emulator is like having another Android device running off of my PC. So once that finally built, everything was successful. I did get one little error, emulator error in my event log here, but everything is working fine. My app, it deployed, it went through the process of building the app, starting the emulator, building the app, APK file, and then installing the APK on the emulator device. So this is basically like a little Android device running here. And I can use it just like I would an Android device. All right, so I can go back to my Hello World McLean BJ app. I can rotate it. And that goes. So that's basically your first app up and running. People are working on different computers, different systems, so things don't always work exactly the same. There's going to be some problems, no doubt, and we'll try to work through them over the first couple weeks to first 4 modules of the course. We're basically just trying to get used to creating some basic Android apps with some different, maybe some text views and some edit text to input a little bit of data and some buttons. So that's what we're going to focus on, just to get over the hump of being able to create and run some basic apps. And then we'll be able to look at more details about the content going on inside the app. So anyway, I'm going to end this here. Things are working okay in this app, and the next one I'll be probably reviewing the water calculator app that we built in module 1 and 2. Okay, thanks. See ya. Let me know if you have any questions.